I like to break down the areas where nation states have failed us into 4 scenarios. The first is where people are without a nation state. There are millions of people who are without a nation state. A good example is the Palestinians. Israel was founded in 1948. The Palestinians were made refugees, and those who remained had no credible state to protect their rights and dignity. While a large portion of Israelis have 2 or more passports, the Palestinians have nothing. Their land confiscated, bludgeoned, killed by the thousands, with no state to protect them. The UN General Assembly decided to partition Palestine into 2 states in 1947, one Arab and one Jewish, with Jerusalem placed under a special international regime. But the resolution, along with the numerous similar resolutions that followed, were nothing more than ink on paper. If the UN had some power at that time, believe me, this conflict, this festering conflict that threatens world peace, would have been stopped in its tracks. The second scenario is where a state fails and civil war erupts. That happened in Syria, Sudan, Yemen, Libya. But take Sudan, for example. 2 generals wage war as warlords, indifferent to famine, death, and displacement. Over 60,000 Sudanese civilians were killed, millions starved and uprooted. The US officially recognized this as a genocide. But no one could stop this massacre. No one had the authority. This isn't new. The last Sudanese civil war killed 2 million. And when South Sudan became independent, it plunged into its own civil war. The third scenario is the global vacuum, power vacuum, and the competition for influence and geopolitical leadership. History repeats with brutal precision. When one empire rises and another declines, war follows. Sparta feared Athens, and that was followed by war. Many analysts, many historians think China and the US may be the next. The signs are on the wall, the writing is on the wall. Just watch the news every day. But this time, it is not swords and shields or even guns and airplanes. It is hypersonic nukes and artificial intelligence warfare. Humanity will never survive a war between superpowers. Because there is no superstate, no global authority, you have this situation where foreign states exploiting such conflicts, arming one side or the other, prolonging violence, and sacrificing civilians. The fourth scenario is the need to prevent conflicts from exploding into wars at an early stage. This speaks to the current conflict between Russia and Ukraine. If we had a strong global authority, not UN hobbled by veto power, this problem would have been solved at its root, not left to the warring parties to sit around and debate and argue and then come to nothing, which is called diplomacy. But if there is a third party armed with international law and a power to enforce such law, the Russian-Ukrainian war would never have happened. By the time states turn to war, diplomacy has already failed. Bilateral talks too often serve as a delay tactic or a power play. But a trusted third party, world authority, can step in early, mediate the dispute, enforce peace, and prevent war before a single shot is fired. One can easily conclude that many wars would have been stopped in their tracks if we had such an authority. Instead of pouring trillions into building better ways to kill, why don't we invest a fraction of that in building a system for peace? Or just research for peace? We need a superstate, a world authority with legal force, not just moral imposition. Whether by revamping the UN, making it more representative and removing the veto power, or forming a new democratic global body. The message is clear. Humanity needs governance above the state level, which has betrayed us, which has brought war, mayhem, and destruction. The status quo is a death sentence. We either continue living under the law of the jungle, or build a world governed by justice, order, and peace. The tools exist. The need is screaming. What is missing is political will, and that must come from the grassroots upward, because our leaders will never give up the power, the privileges, the inducements of power, the allure of power. They will never do that. We as citizens of the world have to press this issue, make all other people aware of this need, and work hard to bring it about. It is time for humanity to grow up and govern itself. If you find this topic interesting and you want to dig deeper, please read my book, One Peaceful World, available on Amazon, or visit my website, globalpatriots.org. Thank you for watching.